I am so happy you decided to do this. So, everybody that's watching, this is Chelene Winkleman, who is Allison's sister and my stepdaughter. And so I have known Chelene since she was a year old. So it's amazing. And this is the first interview that we're going to do with a sibling. And so it's going to be really cool for us to be able to talk and you to be able to share what it was like, both being a sister to a girl that was very sick for a lot of her life and going through that. And then also what it was like after she died, and now being an adult and a mom yourself. You're going to have a really cool perspective to be able to share with people. And thank you so much. And this will be an interview like no other because you are my daughter. So,
right.
But I do want to start the way that we start all of them with, how about you share 5 words that you would use to describe Allison?
So when I was thinking of these 5 words, it was really hard to just pick 5. So, but the first thing I thought of was just pure. I mean, as in pure innocence. And another one would be a boss. It's hard to have a conversation with Allison without her being the boss of it. So, and then sidekick. I mean, she was there, wanted to do everything with me. She was my Robin Hood, and I was Batman. And and love, pure love. I would say attitude, complete attitude.
Totally.
So.
And what I love about those 5 words, and totally, I would agree 100% on all of them. But what's really cool is recognizing, like, combining love and attitude. Like, you can have attitude and you can be a boss and still be pure and still be loving. Like, sometimes we think, yes, we one or the other, but she was both.
No, she was all of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Do you, what do you like best about being her sister? And let's, for everybody, you are 6 years older than she is. So you were significantly older.
The best part I would say was just she always wanted to do something with me. If it was, play with her toys, play with my toys, do a play, put on makeup. It was like, she was like, no matter what, I want to be with you doing it. So I always had a best friend, and yeah, she was a lot younger, but I still like playing with toys. And at that age, I was down. So always having that love and just being wanted, I would say, was the best part of being a big sister.
Oh, I love that. What didn't you like about being her sister?
What I didn't like now, I don't know what then, but now when I think back, I think the age gap, I just always being wanted. Always, I wanted to go do my thing. I wanted to go play with my friends, and it was just like, I don't want to play with you. And that was really hard because I didn't understand how short it was going to be to have her. And that was the hardest part of being her sister now. I mean, I don't know what it was back then.
Having her, and the whole thing of her being sick. And what do you remember about all of that and how it affected you?
Oh, it was, the whole thing was a daze. You find out she's sick and your whole world just goes, whoa. And as a kid, you don't realize it's doing that until, she's hooked to all these pipes and you're walking into the hospital being like, whoa, like you don't see it until you see that. You explained to us why she wasn't able to do the things she was before. And I didn't get it. I was like, she's still my sister, bossing me around and being, doing the same thing. So I just treated her the same. And So I don't think I realized that switch until you walk into the hospital and everyone's around you being like, "Are you okay? Is what's what can we do?" And then we're getting food to our house and we're like, "I don't want to eat this." But we have to because it's it's polite, I guess.
Because it's all that's there for dinner.
Yeah. But it was, yeah, you just kind of, with the kid, you go with it, and your parents are right there, telling you what to do and how to, what's going to happen each day. And you're just kind of like, okay, like, I guess that's what we're doing. And let's get in the car, just get our seatbelt on, let's go. And you just kind of go with whatever your parents are doing. I mean,
So, is there anything in hindsight now that you think that we could have done differently or better?
I would say take, a special time to sit down with just one, not because you had three, to sit down with each of individual and just have a conversation. We're kids, yeah, but to just understand, because I don't think I ever had that conversation individually of what's going on, how I feel, and what the next steps are to what's going to happen. So with us, it was just like boom, 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 instead of like, we're doing this, but then we'll find out if there's anything wrong later, or we're not out of the woods. And I always thought after everything we were out of the woods. It was going to get better, and then something would happen and it's like, whoa, this wasn't supposed to happen. It wasn't supposed to get worse. This was supposed to be done. And so it was hard to understand that. So if I had more clarity of this will go downhill, then I would know, understand more.
And so you were at different levels, and even just being different individuals, that totally makes sense to like sit down with you each individually as we go along. And we didn't do that. So that's great. And then on the like knowing it's going to go downhill, we didn't know. Like we knew that there was
Yeah.
an opportunity for that. And so, but to be more honest about like, here's where we're at. We don't know what goes on next, but like to treat you almost a little bit more adult like in terms
Yeah.
of giving you more information would have been better.
Right.
And you're the youngest one of the three older ones. And so you're saying even at 9 that you would have liked that.
Yeah. And, thinking back too, I mean, I feel even when I didn't know, it was still like I didn't worry that much. Always had so much hope, and I always moved forward with it instead of
Right.
thinking, oh, well, what if this happens? Just how comfortable you are on what you want to share and how to share it, I guess.
I wonder if it makes sense to let the kid lead the conversation. Like you sit down and provide the basic facts, and then however deeply the kid asks more questions, be open to going as far as they want to go.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish I had known that back then. This will be great for parents in the situation now. That's awesome.
I mean, I'm trying to think of the things that you guys didn't do, but you guys did do a lot with us. It's so like we had family dinners every single night. We had time to come together as a family and not only not pretend, but be a normal family, but we had time to be not a normal family. So that's hard.
So what I'm hearing is like actually, so you liked like the family dinners, and that you did feel like there's a balance of we are a normal family that has this extraordinary circumstance, but that it was good to maintain like just normal family, and you did feel like that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
awesome. I like hearing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yay. How did all of like, because we had to spend a lot of time on her care and extra attention, both from like especially me as the caregiver, but then also like our community of support and everything. A lot of attention went to her. How did you feel about that as a sibling, and what did people do right and what did people do wrong?
So when Allison got sick and she had, all these people coming up to us, what was amazing is when people would, come up to me and hug me and say, everything will be okay. We're praying for you. You're such a good big sister. Just keep up the good work. And that was like, okay, I'm doing it right. Like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and these people are telling me I'm good, and they can see it. And
Uh-huh.
then, but what was the hard part is when somebody knows and they feel awkward and they're like, I don't know how to talk to a little girl about this. I don't know what and then it's just you kind of feel bad for them and you're like, I don't want to be in this conversation, like, and then you kind of say something to make them feel better, like, oh, it's okay, like, everything will be good. And this is pre Allison,
Mhm.
dying. And
Right.
so you just have so much hope and you're like, there's so much support, so we'll be okay. And so that was the hard part, is being the one that drags those people out of those conversations and been like, know, this the things that they would say was just, you're a great sister, and keep up the good work.
So that really did mean a lot. Like it's a
Yeah.
pretty simple thing. People think they have to do a lot, but it's not. It's just acknowledging you specifically.
Right. And even if they brought me gifts, or Allison got so much stuff, and even if they brought me something, I don't remember it. I remember the people, not what I got. So it's, even a gift isn't that big of a deal.
Oh my gosh, that I think you bring up such a good point there. It's like it's the person acknowledging you and telling you you're doing good. It's not what they bring you. It's
Yeah.
like the feeling and the love that they're giving you. So don't stress
Hmm.
about what gift to give. You don't have to.
Right.
Anything else on that end? How about us as parents? What we do right and what we do wrong in terms of making you feel like you were equal and just as loved and just as special as her?
I mean, we each had our own lives. So we and I had two older brothers too. I mean, I'm just thinking my favorite things that I did back in the day that it was almost like distracting me from what was going on.
Hmm.
Making meringues with you was a lot of fun for me, and they're still one of my favorite things to eat. So, and I cannot make them, but love buying them. And then like you always had this like homemade popcorn maker, and I always thought that was really fun. Just doing things with us was really fun, um, and it more of distracted us from this big machine in my room, or and it was just we were the same kids, so it wasn't like we got we weren't given everything. It wasn't like, oh yeah, you can eat chocolate and candy and ice cream and all this stuff. No, you still need to go clean your room until you go outside to play. So it was like we still had a structure, and it wasn't just like a bomb went off and everything went everywhere. It was like we still had everything that we made us a good kid, I would say, because I was a pretty good kid.
Yeah, you were until you pierced your nose.
Oh my goodness, that was fun. Yeah, that didn't last long.
um, so that's interesting because I think that sometimes you think that, oh, you need to make things special to make everybody feel special. But what you're
Mhm.
saying is like maintaining the structure and the normal family life is what was helpful.
Right.
Wow. And what do you do wrong? Because like you're not gonna hurt my feelings. Say what so it'll help other families. What did we do wrong?
Um, think just being um too sheltered in the process. We didn't go out with grandma and grandpa that much. Like Leslie, I don't remember doing a lot with the family. Or even somebody picking me up from the house and taking me to dinner, or spending the night over at grandma and grandpa's. It was like we had we had almost to stay home and to be there a lot.
Other people, because I know you'd spend night with friends. So are you thinking more like adult people or?
Yeah, like it's just more of like a once a week I would want to be like, hey, I'm gonna go, and
Right.
it was more like once a month I would be like, okay, I would be able to go,
That's
but
good.
I was just say having more family around because I almost felt like it was more friends. No, I would say more individual time. I would like that
Yeah.
individual. Let's go. Let's just me and you go out to dinner and or go have a picnic or just me and you. And it was always like a family thing. Like
Yeah.
the boys grab this, we're all coming out. And if it was just, hey, I'm gonna go take Shay and we're gonna go have a picnic up at the park and just sit down and really get to know what's going on. And that would have been nice.
That's a great, and that goes back to those individual conversations too. I think that's um, good feedback. I wish I
Mm-hmm.
could have done that. Or I could have done that. I wish I had thought to do that and done that.
You ask like, how do I make you feel special? How could I individualize you instead of everything being about Allison?
Mm-hmm.
And everything was about Allison. I thought everything was about
Mm-hmm.
Allison. I'm sure the boys thought everything was about Allison. People we were around, everything was about Allison. So even if I sat here and I said, oh, Allison got all this attention and I didn't, and you guys didn't handle that right, and you didn't, individually tell me I was special, or take me to the park and say,
Uh-huh.
hey, we're going to have a non Allison moment here. I
Uh-huh.
would want Allison. So no matter how much attention was on her, we all wanted to sit here and be like, okay, this is what's going on right now. And this is what's most important. And it wasn't like my issues were less important. It wasn't like, hey, my Barbie broke. I'm not going to go to my parents and show them this because they don't care. I would still show you. Someone would put the head back on and be like, okay, you're good. But it wasn't like, my problems didn't matter anymore. But it was all about what Allison needed and what she wanted. And so there's no way I can say she got too much attention or you guys didn't pay attention to me enough, because that's wrong. We all maybe, yeah, I didn't get a lot of attention because she was sick, but I was giving her all my attention too, so I didn't even notice that I wasn't getting a normal amount of attention. And even then, people were coming out of everywhere being like, you're a great sister, you're doing good. Like there was so much positivity from everyone around me saying I'm doing a good job. And you just kind of hold on to that too and work through it. Yeah, you get mad at her and you get mad at your parents and they screw up, you screw up. But at the end of the day, you have a really sick little girl. And whatever makes her feel better, whatever smile you can put on her face, that's all that matters. So,
Which is an amazing perspective. Um, and tell me if I'm wrong in that you knew that your needs were going to be met, and you knew that you were loved, and you knew that you were acknowledged. And so it was okay for so each individual was their own individual that was taken care of. And as a collective, we were focusing our attention on this piece of our family drama, for lack of a better way of putting it, because this is what was needed right now. But in all of us focusing our attention on that, it wasn't that any one individual was lacking because our attention was focused on that.
right, right.
Which
And every night, it was everyone's attention. So you're not sitting there thinking, she got this and she got, to get her arm touched nicely and I didn't get my arm touched nicely. You don't think that. You go over there and start touching your other arm. So it's like everyone was just, they didn't care more about themselves and I didn't. I cared about her. But like you said, yeah, I still got my attention. I still got what I needed. So,
but wow, I mean, that is really huge and really mature. that you had that perspective, even as like a 9, 10, 11
Well,
year
and I don't
old.
think I realized it until you think about it now. Like
Right.
being a kid, you just kind of go through it. And I never thought badly about Allison getting any attention.
Which is amazing. I mean,
Hmm.
for a 9, 10, 11 year old to think that way, or like, and you're not doing, like you said, you didn't do it consciously at the time, but um, that has always amazed me about you guys, is that there never was any of that, and trying to figure out how you guys ended up being like that, because it's amazing.
Hmm.
I would think that you would be totally jealous sometimes of that. So
Well, she was really good at sharing sometimes, but she would share all her toys. Like if she got
Mhm.
something new, we could, she would get the new toy, but I would have all the other ones. So and she had so many people gave her so much stuff, no matter how much she had. And like I said, she was my sidekick. I was her person. So she wanted to play. And so all of her toys were my toys.
Right. So
Hmm.
so it was like creating this experience that she was going through, her like the illness, the getting the attention, the getting the toys. It wasn't an isolated experience. It was just her experience. It became part of your experience too, in the positive ways as well.
Yeah. Right.
That's interesting. I never thought about it that way. I'm so glad we're having this conversation. Do you wish you'd been more clearly told how serious her condition was, or was it better not knowing? You wish you had heard more.
Yeah. To a point where, I mean, at the end, we had all, I mean, I had so much hope through the whole thing. Even with her, at the, in her coma, and how skinny she was, and how just almost gone she looked. I was like,
Hmm.
she's going to open her eyes. Like, she's going to come through this, and it's going to be like Allison 4.0. Like,
Wow.
and so I remember going to the beach, and it was like you said to us, this is bad. And we're here at the beach to have this moment with her. So, absorb this. And I did. I remember you guys saying that. And I was like, this is the first time they're like saying this is not the first time, but this is the last bit. And I could feel that. And I was like, okay. So, and I remember that trip very vividly. And she had a catheter,
Hmm.
and you guys were changing it, and you were like, don't look. But I looked. I was like, what's going on? And then you said, she's going on her own. She doesn't need this. And I was like, oh, she's going to wake up. Like, this is great. This is, you're just hyped on these little things. And
Hmm.
so hope never ended. And that was I would say the best part of being a kid through this all. But then, I wish I would have, at the very end, before she went into the coma, don't we all wish that we could have sat down with her and had a conversation? But
Yeah.
I wish I could have said goodbye differently, because I don't even remember the last time I saw her.
I have pictures of the Oregon Coast trip, and I remember us going on that trip, and I do remember us saying, you guys, that, hey, this is our last family trip. But
Hmm.
I don't remember anything from that trip, except for when we went and took pictures out on the beach.
Taking those pictures, and you look at a picture and you're like, I remember that moment. I couldn't help but just like, oh my gosh, like these are so special. And you look at us kids in those pictures, her in the little stroller, and
Hmm.
I see pain, 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 and pain. And it's all of us kids are just like, we can't even, we're smiling, I think, but we're not even enjoying the situation. So I remember that moment of, when you were taking the pictures, I was like, I'm going to look back at these pictures, and it's going to be sad.
Do you have like, so I definitely, like you, have conversations with her all the time. And then there's also different things that I feel like she gives us signs. Do you feel like you ever get signs from her?
At the very beginning, I did. When I first lost her, I thought she was right there next to me. So just that feeling, knowing that I don't know that she was there, but I don't think I got any signs. But no, I don't think I mean, every time I see a ladybug, I think of her.
Yeah.
And uh, when a ladybug landed on Allie's head, my dog, I took a picture of it, and I was like, she's here. So, but I believe that a lot of that's just it's a ladybug. I think about it. I think about her, but I don't think she's putting that ladybug there.
Okay. Do you do anything in her memory, like on birthdays, or like, do you have anything? And if you don't, that's fine too. I was just curious.
I used to do something, and even if it was just to sit down and talk to her, just talk or look through pictures, and or I would go get a little cupcake and be like, happy birthday. But I don't do anything anymore. I remember the day when the day comes.
So you guys got to go in and see her body at the funeral home. And I know that we asked you if you wanted to or not. Did we do the right thing there, or should there have been something different?
I knew that when we got back and we saw that she was gone, she wasn't in the house. The first thing you want to do is you want to see where she is. Where is she? If she's not here, where's her body? Where, what's going on? And so when I had the opportunity to see her, I wanted to see her. You came in the room with me, and it was just you and me. And it was a dark room, a little window. I'm glad I did. I'm glad that I had that moment with you too. I remember it vividly, and I will never forget this moment with her and with you. And going up to her, and I gave her a kiss, and I hugged her, and then I started crying, and you did the same thing. You kissed her and hugged her, and then we hugged each other and we left. And I am so glad that I got to kiss her. And I know it sounds weird,
No, it
but
doesn't.
I am so glad I got to kiss her one last time and give her a hug. And that moment will forever be with me. And to share it with you, that was special to me, and I'm glad. So
you're making me tear up. So definitely give you the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember that too. Thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm. But it's a moment you're never going to forget. And so if you make that decision, you won't it won't leave you. So know that when you ask your kids, if you want to see her, it's not going to be in a distant memory. It's going to be vivid for them.
It would have been 11 when you made that decision, and you definitely were able to make a good choice for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So you made a wise choice for what worked for you,
and
could do that. You didn't need us to do that for you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember what we said to you or how we presented it to you?
We're in the car. I knew I wanted to. So I knew the whole time my answer was going to be yes. And you let us think about it on our way to the place. You're like, we're on our way there. So it is up your choice if you want to see her or not. And I think I asked if I had to go alone, and you said, no, I will go with you. I remember that moment with you, and I don't remember having to think about it much. I had my mind made up when I got home and I didn't see her.
Did we prepare you and say she's not going to look alive or that she's going to be cold? Did we have any of that?
Yeah.
You? Okay.
Yeah, you did. You said she was going to look different, and you kind of described what she would look like. Yeah.
Do you think that it's better for it to be you going in one-on-one with a parent, or the whole family going in? Whoever decides.
One-on-one.
One-on-one. Okay.
One-on-one, for sure. I think it'd be too much with everyone there. I don't think you would be able to absorb it individually as well. Like, but definitely not alone.
Yeah. What was done to support you like right away and then in the longer term? And I'm not going to know for a lot of it in the longer term. So what was done to support you as a sister?
You know, that beginning stage of losing her, there's so many people coming, coming to be there for you, and giving people you didn't really thought, not that they didn't care, but just seeing how emotional everyone really was, and knowing how much they were hurting too. Yeah, I don't really remember anyone doing really anything for us, and maybe people did, but I think there was just so much anger and hurt that it's hard to see the good things that people did for you.
In that first month, did you feel like completely isolated and alone in having to work through the grief, or did you even know what you were working through? Like, how did you feel handling this like huge, heavy thing as an
Yeah.
11-year-old?
Yeah, because we shared a room, so even going to bed was hard.
Yeah.
And it's not like she just disappears, all her stuff. It's like she's supposed to be laying there. So you and Dad everyone was so hurt. Home was a mess. Going to my room was hard. Um, even dinners, she wasn't there. So it's just like, what did we do? How did we get through this?
Did you have anybody, and I will fully own the fact that, like, I can't speak for anybody else, but for myself, like, and I would assume Dad was the same way, like, so engulfed in our own grief that, like, we were doing all we could just to stay afloat. So I know that I didn't show up for you kids. So, like, was there anybody that stepped in and did show up, or were you like faced with trying to make sense of all of it?
I think we were just faced to make sense with all of it. It's not like it was a process to lose her, and you kind of were holding your breath the whole time. So it was kind of, you could go, okay, it's not a relief, but of you're not sitting there with the machines on anymore. It's really quiet now, and it's just but yeah, I think everyone was focused on their own grief. I remember going over to my friend's house and having to escape there, but even all of them were like, they felt really bad for me. So it was, everyone knew, and there was no escaping what happened. So
do you wish that you had an opportunity to escape, like that like one of our adult friends had like whisked you away to go to Wild Waves, or?
Oh yeah. That would be something I remember, because right now I don't remember anything. So give me something good to remember and I'll remember that. Yeah. So something that you don't have to say, we're gonna forget her. Just let's have something fun. Let's stop being so sad, and
let you be a kid for a couple hours.
Yeah, and you almost felt bad to be a kid, felt like, why am I smiling? Yeah. So, but yeah, I don't remember a lot, and not to say nobody did step in, but I don't remember a big somebody that made a difference in that time.
To make sure that you take out the siblings and do stuff with them. That's good.
It is so hard. It's so painful for all of us. And in that moment, you're not wanting to go to Wild Waves. Someone said that, I'd be like, what? You're crazy. we're not happy. So it's just like, what could you do? And I remember we went to this thing and made a glass ball for Christmas with her birthday and or some date in it. So we did things for her that were special.
Like after that first month, what did support look like or not look like?
We got a new house. So it was really exciting to, pick your own paint, have something else to go on to and a project. So that was, we did it as a family. So that was really, really fun.
I also wanted to ask you, since you did share a room with her and her stuff was in there, how was it handled? The stuff that was in your room that was hers, and how would you like it to have been handled?
She had so much stuff. And we shared everything. So it was kind of like her stuff was my stuff. Mm-hmm. But except for her clothes. I don't remember when everything was moved out or how it was taken. It was just like, I don't think anyone put me in there and was like, okay, which one of these things is special to you? I think somebody just went in and said, this is special, this is special, this is special, this is special. All this other stuff can go.
Wow.
So I never got my pick of this is special. So, but there's things that I'm like, I hope that those things were saved. And, but I don't think us kids ever got a chance to, and we weren't even like, I don't think we're at the age where we could want to take care of these things. So someone like you would have to come in and be like, I will hold these for you. No, I don't think we ever got a chance to say what we wanted.
That's huge. I am so sorry. We should have totally done that.
But I'm not mad at what I don't have. I have a lot of things from her. And like I have this stingray necklace. I'm not wearing it now. But I have, things that you held on to for me, like my earrings. Mm-hmm. Those are, I have some very special things from her. And maybe I don't have a few knickknacks that I would have picked out. But to have that choice.
You should have that choice. Like all three of you, like even though they're brothers and they're guys, like Josh and Spencer should have had that opportunity too, to like be able to pick out things that were meaningful. Cause like as a parent, you don't know necessarily what's meaningful.
Her side of the room stayed like that until you came in and did something. I didn't touch anything. I didn't, it was there. The hard part is, you don't want to touch it. It's like, it's hard to touch it. So even me, and I wanted to play with it still, it was like, this is too important to touch. So then having everyone come in and touch it and give it away, it was like, it was nice having it gone, but it was also like, now it's gone.
Should we have said, like, because you were still a kid and could play with the thing, should we have specifically said, hey, play with these things? Allison would want you to play with these things. Should we have given you that kind of permission to do that?
Yeah, definitely. Because you kind of just want to keep it in a box and not touch it. So I haven't played with the things that I have until I had Sky, and now they're being played with. And I'm like, this is kind of weird, but because you keep it special for so long, but now she's playing with it, chewing on it, and I'm like, okay.
But that's what it's for. I mean, I'm so happy to hear that, because it's there. I mean, if it's just like in this like mausoleum type place, it's not actually getting enjoyed and experienced.
Yeah. Right. And she has those Pikachu slippers, which are so meaningful to me and to all of us, and everyone can remember them. And here's Sky chewing on the ear of it, and I'm like, it's getting flour all over it. And I'm like, well, she likes it. I can clean it. It's fine, but it's hard to take something so special and have it being used.
what could have been done to provide you with more support in being a sister, dealing with the grief, like 6 months later, a year later, in the long term?
Yeah, I I think I had a school counselor talk to me. And I think at that point you just kind of pretend like everything's okay and you tell them what they want to hear to make you seem like everything's okay and that you're not going crazy. Someone, that you're not just that can talk to you and understand what you're going through and tell you what your feelings are doing to you or through those emotions would have been nice on a professional level,
Mhm.
instead of just friends and family around you. And that was amazing too.
Having a professional that isn't impacted by the situation, because like when it's friends and family, they're impacted by it too, not in the same way or the same level
Yeah.
necessarily, but they're impacted. So having a safe person that
And
you
then
can just
having to do it. As a kid, I don't want to sit down and talk to this
Mhm.
person. I would just make it a thing. You got to do this. I'm sorry, but this is a once a month thing that you have to do for
Mhm.
probably 2 years or more, depending on, the situation. Our situation more. So,
Yeah.
what all of us kids needed was just a different person, just different perspective, a professional
Yeah.
telling us how to how things are happening.
Well, and to provide it, not even just to like, yes, they can tell you some things, but then also to sit and listen and just hold space for you with like no judgment, no tie to it,
Hmm.
just a safe space to. Did you feel like there's any place that you could just like vomit what you were feeling and going through?
Not really. Not really. Just because everyone knew what had happened and everyone, knew how everything fell apart. So it was like, what am I going to tell you that you don't already know? So you couldn't have a fresh conversation with anyone. Being that young, you don't meet anyone to just talk to.
Right.
But you know, you don't realize what you have until it's gone. And even with losing Allison, you don't realize what you have until she's gone. And there's no sidekick anymore, and there's no plays, and it's all gone.
Um, we talked about friends, like what did or didn't you tell friends at school? Like, is there anything else significant that you feel like would be helpful to share on that piece? If there's not, it's no big deal.
I liked talking about Allison, and I liked sharing my relationship with everyone that me and her had, because I also wanted them to know, what I've been through. This is part of me now, and my close friends, they knew how to process that with me. So, um, but even my teachers, they would reach out, and I like talking about her. So it was nice for me too, and I'm glad that I did talk about her to people, because it just gave me more of a feeling that she was always there. So
You said that your friends knew how to process it with you. How did they do that? Like how do 11-year-olds talk about it in a way that's meaningful and helpful?
they just knew that I loved her with all of my everything. They understood, that that's gone now. So I know that I was able to relax, let me talk about it too. Like it was not like, oh, I'm sorry. So you must feel. It was like just let me kind of talk about the plays we did, or show them this picture, and I had a picture on my binder, and so it was like I kind of always had these memories that I um, would talk about, and people were like, even if it was the 10th time saying it, I would say it again. So just kind of listening to it. And I only had a few close friends, so it wasn't like I would go into a group of people and say this, but they my close friends were were there for me.
So it sounds like they like treated you and your memories of Allison just like anything else. They didn't make a big deal about it. It was like,
Yes.
talk about her like you would talk about Spencer or Josh.
Right.
Who did you seek support from more, kids or adults, and who were more helpful?
I would say adults, because I mean, I know I just said that my friends were there and good to communicate with, but adults knew more of how to process what you're saying and then give a good answer, and but not pry too much. So it's a weird balance that adults know how to do, and then kids, they it's harder for them to process this emotion. And I like having conversations with adults more than the kids around me.
Do you feel like you had to grow up a lot faster because of all of this?
Yes. Well, and with having so many people come in and out of your life, you just realize a lot that's going on around you, and to have these adult conversations with people as such a young age, you're just like, okay, not saying I wasn't able to be a kid still. I still was a kid, but growing up faster, definitely.
As an adult, how do you relate to Allison and her memories?
I'm able to relate with people a lot, with loss, with having a sibling, with having a little sister, being a big sister. I have so many experiences now, being a play director. So I've learned so much in my life from it, and I hold on to a lot of it with everyday steps. And it may not be stuff I even know anymore because of it. So, because of the time, you just become somebody else. You don't think of it every time, but
Right.
I can relate with a lot of things now. With death, it's not saying I'm the perfect person to talk to if you lose somebody, but I can relate. I know how it feels, especially being a kid. I've never talked to a kid that has lost anyone close to them. Um, but I think I could handle that conversation because I've been through it so young. And I have other brothers, so I know how to have a normal sibling relationship too.
As a mother now, if you were in the position of having children and one of which was sick and eventually died, how would you deal with it?
One of the greatest thing that I would say is to have a relationship with the Lord. Have a place for you guys all to have hope and support too. I would work on, so in every relationship you have a foundation, and I would put foundation around the foundation. I would support that through it all. And as much as I can, I need my other half. And knowing how much a loss can take away from a family, you need that to be a working, functional piece in your family. So that would be another huge whatever I needed to do. I would focus on my relationship. Grief is a terrible feeling, and it lasts forever. And so to have some way to feel this grief, but not forget the grief, not walk away from it, but to feel this grief work through you, that's important. And I would find a way to do that. Not to be cliche, but what you're doing, I think, is changing people's lives. And the way I wish that my family had what you're doing for these families. Because I want to go on vacation and mourn my loss. What you can do: read a book, be by the water, go in a boat. But just be in a different environment, because going back into your room and sitting there looking over at her bed is like, I don't want to be here. It's kind of a little emotional, but I would that would be my first thought in anything, working on how I could get through this with my partner. Foundation. But and then, looking at my daughter, it's like she's so perfect, and so, reminds me so much of Allison too, that it's hard to even think of that situation. Yeah, and there's not really a right way or a wrong way, however way you can handle it without losing it. It's just, how do you handle it as a tribe, and how big is your tribe? Are your village? Who's you need to make sure that everyone around you is strong and supportive and not gonna knock you down. And when you find out that you have a sick kid, you don't need anyone knocking you down. You need everyone being there. And it's people say, oh, well, she's only reaching out to me because she feels bad, or these people don't talk to me. So it's like, but these people are still reaching out. It doesn't make them in your village. Your village is your village. So don't knock on those people to say these nice things to you, even though they never talk to you. It doesn't matter, because these people around you are the most important people, and they will support you. And then what they say matters. But pure, keep it how strong your foundation is. You grow that foundation stronger and stronger with each person, and don't let somebody that's going to tear you down in. And if they do, kick them out right away.
Only hold close and hold dear and allow in the people that are strong supporters.
Yeah. And even if people reach in, because people will reach out and say, I'm so sorry, or that doesn't make them your best friend. That doesn't make them a part of your foundation. It just makes them there.
That's everything that I had, and we've been talking forever, but like, is there anything that we didn't cover that you feel like people should?
I feel like I explained it before, though, with the attention thing, is never feel bad to give these kids attention, or to not give a kid attention. Even after grief, after you lose the child, I almost felt like people were scared to talk to me. And if you could just, I know it's so hard, but if you could just have a one-on-one conversation with this kid, and it doesn't have to be how do you feel? How is this? It's just, let's break out some Play-Doh and just see where this conversation goes. And maybe hint to, well, how is your room? And then they'll say, my room's different now. And then have them lead the conversation with what they want to talk about. But don't be afraid to sit down with these kids and talk with them, because they do want to talk and they need to talk. And to have a relationship with somebody, even if I'm a parent and I cannot do it, I am hurt, I'm broken. How am I supposed to have this constructed conversation nonchalantly with a kid? Maybe ask somebody, just somebody that you trust completely, to have that has a connection with the kid already, and to be a little fly on the wall and be like, hey, I'm here. But take that time with that kid, and take the emotion that they give you, and understand it, and then try to help them, because they need it. They need somebody, and their parents are broken. So help them communicate these feelings that are going on.
I love that. Love that. That's great.
Because you can't expect mom and dad to know how to help a kid to grieve. Because everyone's grieving, even grandma and grandpa, even the friend. It's how do we help all of them? And I think that the kids get overlooked in that situation because the parents are going through so much. So,
what were you told about her dying and what would happen to her, both physically and then spiritually? And what did you take from all of that?
Yeah, we went to church as a family every Sunday, didn't miss one. And so through the whole process, we knew there was a heaven. We knew God had his hands on us. And, we, we had an idea of what heaven looks like and how amazing it is going to be for her. Understand how much pain she was in. And then to know that when she went to heaven, she wasn't going to be in the same situation. She wasn't going to be skinny anymore. She wasn't going to be not able to walk. She was going to be able to do everything that she's been fighting to do. That was my understanding, that she was just going to be at peace and have complete healing over her. You think after, she dies, because no one really got to say goodbye. And a lot of people don't get to say goodbye when somebody in their life dies. But having the faith and she's in this paradise, it gives you a time to say goodbye. And I talk to her a lot. And still nowadays, I will look over my shoulder and be like, you better be there, because this was funny. And I know and there's little things like, I have my daughter, and I pull out a toy that Allison used to have, and I'm like, I feel like she's there, and I feel like she's always been there, and that's what I believe. And I've always been told that going to church by you guys. So I believe that she's in heaven and completely healed and waiting for us. And she's with my dog, Allie. I named my dog after her, and she's up there being like, hey.
I still believe all of that, although I don't think that there is like the same construct of heaven that like is taught in church, because like I don't go to church anymore. But I do think that like her soul is eternal, and so like her soul is there, and I talk to her all the time too. So
yeah.
How has like what we taught you and what you learned in church, because you were still a kid, how has that evolved and changed for you as an adult, or is it the same?
No. I still have the belief of there's a heaven. But after she died, our family lost it. So
It blew up.
Yeah, we didn't hold together that well. So I blamed God for a lot, and I could list it all right here vividly. Hey man, you ruined my life. And I laugh about it because I know he didn't. But at the moment it was just, what else, man? Are you gonna, is a rock gonna fall on my car? I ran away from church. I ran away from God. I didn't really accept him back into my life until I had my daughter, and I started thinking how special and pure and amazing this was, and I need to have this connection with him again. And now I'm starting to work on that. So blamed him for everything, and I couldn't have a relationship with him.
Is your belief in who and what God looks like now that you're like, okay, I want to get back into that relationship, is that, do you see it as the same thing as you did back then, or has your perception and belief in that universal being changed at all?
yes and no. I feel like there's many things you could say, oh, well, I believe this and I believe this. So it's hard to put it all together. All these rules. I don't think that you need to do that. Which I did when I was a kid. I thought, so I've been more relaxed with it. And I don't think going to church is like you have to go to church to be a good person. I can sit in my bedroom and have an emotional conversation with him. And I say him as I don't know if God's real. I don't know if it's Jesus or this or that, something, but it helps to say him to have a conversation with. And um, I know I'm going to see Allison. I know I'm going to see Allie. And those are the things that I believe that I'm going to see. So
it has evolved. It sounds like it's still evolving.
Yeah.
But it definitely was part of you coming to terms with Allison's death, for sure.
Yeah, that takes you back. It's been fun remembering Allison, and I enjoy talking about her. And I love the stories, and I love, the sadness too. So
it's so nice to be able to sit and chat and like it just be like a normal thing to share stories and not have to be some big deal. So yeah, I really enjoyed it too.
This was really fun.
It was.
I enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Yay!
Love you.
Love you too. Talk to you later.
Okay, bye.